So, ladies and gentlemen, just for the procedure, the idea is now that we go through the questions and we start with question 1. So, and the discussion groups, hopefully they have appointed a kind of spokesperson, and we will put the question on the big screen so that you can all read it. So we do not want to waste too much time with going through the questions again, and then the spokesperson comes with a proposal, and then we will see if you as the audience have something to add, and maybe we have to add something as well. So that's a little bit the idea. So we would start with case number 1, which is discussion group number 2. And most likely you found out already that there were more cases, and we do not discuss all the cases, and there is a very easy explanation for that. There is, for example, the case on the paper about the new jump-off rule, but we found out that it would be better to introduce you to the new rule before we let you find a solution. So, and as the original idea was to have the case studies tomorrow, but simple as that, there was not enough time. For that reason, we took the question out, but the papers were already printed. And that's a little bit that we confuse you that not group number 1 is doing case number 1. That's the background of that. So, not to spend too much time on all these housekeeping things, we start with case number 1, which is discussion group 2. And can I please ask the spokesperson for group number 2 to come up to the podium and introduce us to the case and come with the solution.
Do we have to do it here? That would be...
I have to do it there, so you can...
Okay. In case you haven't read it, let me read it up for you. You are judging a Table A 238.2.2 competition. It is clear after the first 2 competitors that the time allowed is too generous. So, in consultation with the course designer, you reduce the time allowed by 4 seconds from 71 to 67 seconds. This alteration is announced over the main loudspeaker as well as in the warm-up arena. It takes a little time for you to confirm that the announcement had been made in the warm-up. The course plan in the warm-up was not altered. The 9th rider is about to start his round. The horse naps resist, and he ends up being 6.7 seconds over the countdown. The rider jumps a clear round but finishes on a time of 67.31 seconds, which incurs 1 time fault. The rider comes to you and complains, saying the course was not altered and he did not hear the announcement as he was not in the warm-up ring. He wants his time fault to be removed so he can start in the jump-off. What is your reaction? We discussed this. I think the very, very easy solution would be for the ground jury to just say, you know, tough luck, you should listen to the announcement, and we're going to keep the one-time faults. But we also look at it from another angle because there is a genuine case that he might not have heard of the changing in the time allowed. It was not written on the course plan. So there is also, you know, another view saying that, you know, we should scratch the 1 fault and let that horse into the jump off. In this case, we don't think the 6.7 whatever seconds over, you know, the countdown was an issue. But we also we looked at another point as well, saying that if this rider went into jump off and won the competition, we might have a complaint from other riders. So I guess on the balance of everything else, we tend to stay with the one-time fault. But I have to say that some of our members in our group, you know, they might not agree totally, and I don't think anybody has a real strong opinion about either way. I guess either way, you can't say it's a wrong decision. So have I said anything? Good. So, but I think, you know, on balance of everything, we are going to stick with a one-time fault. So, what do we do now?
And we also discussed a lot about the course plan in the warm-up, that it should be altered. And a lot of riders also look in their phones, since the course plan also is on the internet and also the starting list. And the time allowed is not changed on that course plan. So I guess a lot of us stick with the one-time fault. But also in the rule book, it says that it should be altered on the course plan.
Should be.
1, 2, 3.
Any?
Are there any comments from the floor? Why, okay, yes?
When the horse resists and the countdown was over.
You know what to do.
Ralph from Germany, sorry. The rider comes over the time because the horse resists and he comes 6.7 over the countdown time from 45 seconds. So if you put the 6.7 away from the 67.31, he's nearly by 60 second or 59 second. So he could have been in the time allowed if the horse wouldn't resist in the countdown. Yep. So normally with the one-time fault, that's totally okay.
Okay, thank you. Yep.
Sorry, Anne from Italy. I think for me, the main thing is the course plan in the warrant was not altered. We were responsible for altering that. So if we do not take that fault away from him, then they could come back and it would be the jury. I think we are obliged to take it away because the rider, maybe he doesn't understand English or Spanish or whatever language the announcement was made in. In our rule books, it says we are obliged to do so. So we are therefore at fault. That's why.
Can I make a comment on the answer by the other gentleman? You said the 6.7 seconds. You know, I think in either case, whether we change the time allowed or not, that horse went over 45 seconds anyway. So we do not think that it should be taken into consideration when we make the decision. But again, you know, back to this lady here, I think, you know, you can make a decision either way, you know, and nobody could really say that you're wrong. At least what I think.
Joanna Gillespie.
And that is also the big issue that we discussed also is that we didn't want to take the time fault away because then we have problems with other riders. But if we do take the time fault away and this rider comes into the jump off, he probably will win, and then we have a problem. And then we have the protests.
Joanna Gillespie. I was in group 2 with this question, and I was one of the members that felt that we should take the time fault away because the fact that the rider wasn't in the warm-up at the time, he didn't have to be in the warm-up at that time because only 2 competitors had gone, and the fact that the course plan hadn't been altered, I felt that he was the first one, and all the riders after that competitor, the time course plan will have been altered, and so there would be no question if anybody else complained.
Okay, there is one last comment, and then I will try to come with a...
I just, even from a riding point of view, if I start the course and my horse has a problem starting, and I look up and the time starts before I go through the starting flags, I already know I'm going to have time faults.
Yeah.
Okay, just to summarize that and that we really concentrate on the case as it is written here on the paper. The only reason for the time penalty of this horse is that the countdown expired completely. Simple as that. And this is what somebody said. This rider got time penalties because the countdown expired. Simple as that. So with or without changing the time allowed, it wouldn't have changed anything. So that time penalty definitely stands. Some general remarks to this, because in the beginning I was not too happy with the wording of that question, but I guess that question pretty much reflects what's happening in reality, but this is not necessarily what should happen in reality. First of all, what is the place for the course plan? Where do we have to put the course plan? What is the place for the course plan? Show office, I hear.
Near the in-gate.
So, okay, to keep it short, if you take a look at the rule book, it's at the entrance of the arena. It's neither the show office nor the warm-up. we have to take care, because there is an inflation of course plans now, and the course designers do a good job by posting them everywhere. But the one and only course plan that counts is the course plan which is at the entrance of the main arena. Full stop. That's the first sentence. So if you change the time allowed, take care that the time will be changed on that specific course plan. You can't change it in the internet. You can't change it at all the other places. But at that specific place, it has to be changed. And just to point that out, it is not the job of the chief steward to do this. It is the responsibility of the ground jury and the course designer. What we do in reality, we take the radio and ask a steward, which is somewhere down in the corridor, to change it. But it is not the responsibility of a steward or the chief steward. It's the full responsibility of the course designer or the ground jury. So, obviously, that hasn't been done in this case, and there would be other cases where this would play a significant role. But in this specific case, it's because the countdown expired. So there is no change of the result. The time penalty stands. In reality, take care that there is a course plan at the in-gate. Take care whenever there is a change that it will be posted on the course plan as well, that you change it on the course plan. And the other thing you have to do is make sure that the rider who is in the arena, who is the next one to start, really gets the information that the time allowed has been changed. So wait before you ring the bell till it has been announced in the local language and in English. And I'm sorry for the people who do not speak the local language and who do not speak English, then they might get lost in translation, but it's an international show and we can't do it in all the languages of the world, so there is always somebody who might not understand that. But get a confirmation from the rider who is in the arena that you just say, Mr. Smith, did you hear that the time allowed has been altered? And then he's just raising his hand, and then you ring the bell, and not before. Last sentence on that. Once again, I would like to remind you, because that's also here in the wording, that the time is too generous. A time is never too generous. It's not that the time is too long or too short. We change the time allowed if there is a significant error in the measuring of the course. And please take that into consideration. And I do not want to make a too long speech about that. But changing the time allowed is an emergency exit if the measurement of the course went wrong. And it is not a fine-tuning tool for course designers to adjust the degree of difficulty after 3 horses. Just to make that absolutely clear. So it has to be the absolute exception that you change the time allowed. And if you measure the course together with the course designer, you should be sure that in most of the cases it has been done according to the rule book and that there is no significant error. I know that sometimes course designers want to have 1 second more or 1 second less. If you calculate the length of the course, which takes 1 second, I don't think that 6 meters or something like that is significant. If you have a course which is 500 meters long and then you discuss 1 second, then you discuss 6 meters. Is that significant? I doubt that. For a course designer, 1 second makes a hell of a difference. But it's not according to the rules if you change it then. So be very careful when you change the rules. So final result of this case, the decision stands. However, obviously, the ground jury made some mistakes which should be avoided. Are there any comments on that decision? Good. Okay, good. Freddie is just making a very good comment. You have 3 riders where you can wait before you make the decision. It does not mean that you have to wait for 3. So sometimes it's so obvious after 1 rider, and I have some sympathy that you then change it even after 1 rider. However, in most of the cases, you have 3 riders, and you can be as experienced as you like to. You always are in the situation that you see somebody and you say the time allowed is too short, and you want to increase the time, and you have just increased it, and then the 4th rider is doing it 5 seconds in the original time allowed. So we always make that mistake again and again. So if you have the time to wait for 3 horses, it would be better to wait for 3. Under exceptional circumstances, sometimes you change it even after 1 horse, but you have 3 horses and maybe you wait just for 3 horses.
But maybe with 2 horses can happen, no?
Yeah, as I say, if you are absolutely sure after 2 horses and you are 100% sure or 150% sure that it would be good to change the time allowed now, because one thing is clear, every time we change the time allowed, we give a disadvantage to the people who have started already. Because these 3 do not know whether we change it or not. They have to live with our decision after 3 horses. So if we can minimize that, because we are absolutely sure and we change it already after 2, it's fine. But in most of the cases, I guess that in most of the cases, the average judge should take his time or her time to wait for 3 horses. You must be very experienced and you must be 100% sure if you change that already after 2 horses or even after 1 horse.
Maybe you can what happened years ago in Gothenburg? The jury decided to change.
Yeah. That was not Gothenburg. That was Herning European Championships. Yeah, this is a typical example where the ground jury changed the time allowed after 2 horses. And or even, yeah, I guess it was 2, but definitely they didn't wait for 3 horses, and then it turned out that they shouldn't have done it. Yeah, this can happen. And as I say, but hindsight is always easy. These people who were judging there were not people who did that just for 1 day. So this is the typical case where you are sure that you make the right decision, and then after the next horse you see that the decision was wrong. And this is happening to all of us, including everybody in the room. Good. I guess we move on to case number 2. Thank you very much, group 2. And now we come to case number 3. Sorry, case number 3, which is discussion group 3. Three did 3, exactly. Group 3 with case number 3.
Good afternoon. I've been selected by default in my group, I think, because it's my first time attending. I'm Lauren Robertson. I'm from Calgary, Alberta, Canada. I'm very pleased to be here. The case 3, you are judging a Table A, Article 238.2.2 competition. After the first round, 5 riders are qualified for the jump-off. The time allowed for the jump-off is 40 seconds. The first rider starts appearing to go fast, taking several shortcuts, but finishes with 4 faults for knocking down fence 3 in 40.43 seconds, incurring 1 time fault for exceeding the time allowed. What action would you take? We were unanimous in this quite simply. We said we would do nothing. We would let the time stand, let the time fault stand. The time will work itself through the jump off. The equality of faults time will then default, and it will work through, in addition to what was said about 3 riders as well. But we felt that this would work itself out fine without altering and getting into that discussion as to whether it should be extended or not.
Any comments?
Thank you.
Then I have one additional question, just in theory. Is it allowed to change the time allowed in the jump-off? No? Why not? Is there any rule? We have a rule about the procedure how to change the time allowed. Is there any limitation for jump-offs? Is it in theory allowed to do so? Yeah, it is. And that's the reason that we put the question in. In theory, it would be allowed to change the time allowed. However, we came to the conclusion, and this is a very theoretical approach. We very much like the answer of that working group, by the way. If the first rider is super fast, taking all the shortcuts, and he is still clear, then you can think about changing the time allowed. But then you have to do that immediately, because this rider then would not get any disadvantage. He is clear and fast anyway. So the other ones can be faster, slower, whatever they do. But with already 1 pole down for this first rider, he took that risk because he might have seen that the time is so short. And if you then increase the time allowed, you give a huge advantage to all the other ones. So this is a very theoretical thing, but this only works if the first rider is clear and gets only time penalties, and you see that the time is really much too short. Otherwise, just go with the result of the working group. It doesn't change anything for the other ones. You simply do not have any clears in the jump-off. That's the only thing which is happening.
You have one question over there.
Yeah.
Hello, I'm Magdalena Erdei from Hungary. I'm course designer, and I would try to push to change the time allowed, because they get one penalty for each second.
Yeah.
So you completely cut the possibility to go a normal clear round, because they will get more penalties probably than the fast ones with one down.
Yeah. Yeah. I do see this point, but then you have to see what is the bigger disadvantage. Is that the bigger disadvantage that they get relatively more time penalties compared to a pole down, or whether this is the disadvantage you give to all the other riders? So it depends on the situation, and the question is a very theoretical question, because it happened to me once in my life that I had this situation, and the reason was that the course designer did a brilliant job, everything was fine, the jump-off course was fine, he even measured the jump-off course, what not all course designers do. And then, unfortunately, what he didn't realize is that there was a car in the arena, and between the first round and the jump-off, they moved the car, and they closed the gap where he measured the course. So now everybody had to go around the car, and that made a difference of something like 5 seconds. And with this, the measured course was completely wrong. And now I'm coming back to the significant error in measuring a course. So based on that, it would have been possible. So, and I was in that lucky situation that in my case, the first rider was clear. And in this case, we even changed the time allowed. But this will not happen to you so soon. But in principle, it would be possible. The teaching purpose is here that you see that in theory you can do that there is no limitation for jump-off. Good. Then we move to group number 4 and stewarding question 2. I'm so happy that it's yours now. Whatever will happen. Is there any... Yeah, there is a spokesperson. How late are we? Oh shit, we have to speed up.
We shouldn't allow them to read the question.
For the sake of saving some time, I guess we are all aware about the questions, so we shouldn't read the question again. The question is on the slide there anyway, so it would be good if the spokespeople just introduce the solution, please.
Okay, I'm Anne Dow from Italy. Luckily, we were all on the same page with this answer, so if we're right, we're right. If not, we all go down together at this point. If we're hoping that this is a fantastic stewarding team, et cetera, and they have on the door of every stall at least 3 different phone numbers to call, because that would be the first thing that we would do. If there's a phone number there, to try to contact the groom, the rider, the owner, whomever. If not, the next step would be to call the stable manager and see if they have any phone numbers of people that we can contact. If we can't get a hold of anyone, then we would look around and see if there were another groom that knew this horse, and they would be kind enough to go in and solve this problem. And that is where we stop. Because as officials, we are not allowed to go into the stall of the horse, and we would not do that for our safety and for the horse's safety. So one could also try to call the chief steward, but they can't do it either. There's a whole list of people, so we're hoping that we can find someone who can go into the stall and deal with this situation. Okay.
Any comments on that?
This is Jerry Koo from Hong Kong.
Okay, Luis Rocco from Brazil.
Oh, sorry. Hello?
Oh,
you first, me first?
Okay, I agree. We should not touch the horse, but I don't agree the third option to call another groom from other rider to touch the horse. I think it's worse than ours. So I don't think it's a good idea.
So what would your solution be?
My solution is really we have to have the numbers of the grooms or vets or anything in the team. We don't should touch, but we should not allow another groom to touch it. So in last case, if the horse is in a dangerous situation, maybe I would touch the horse to fix it. But not another groom, I wouldn't agree with that.
Jerry?
I think I agree with, calling the grooms, on the number if we have it. If not, we go and try to, find where that groom is. But I think I would add to that is while we are calling or looking for that groom, we also stay with the horse to make sure that it's safe. It clearly says that it's in an unsafe position, no longer in a safe position. So, you never know what could happen to that horse. In extreme situation for horse welfare, I think as a steward, you still have to step in and try to do something about it.
Anyone else? No? Okay. You are correct. There should be phone numbers somewhere. And if at all possible, you should try and contact those people, whether it's the groom, the whatever, to come and take care of the horse. Failing that, if you can't get anybody, I would actually not be unhappy with the suggestion of asking another groom to do it. If you can find a vet, that would also be good. But any solution that you do choose, because clearly this is the rug of the horse cannot stay like that. There's no doubt about that, because it's precarious and it simply won't work. So there could be a welfare issue. Any solution you do take, video it. Video the whole thing. Take photographs and video the situation that the horse is in now. And video the whole procedure when whoever is you found to come in and do that. It might end up being you. It's actually happened to me that there was nobody around anywhere. And I got the security guards to video me doing it, because there's no way that you can leave the horse like that. Safety first at all times, horse welfare at all times. And then as soon as you can, you have the evidence and you show it to the groom, you show it to the owner the following day. 99 times out of 100, they will say, thank you very much. And you tell them to take greater care how they put the rug on at night. Okay?
Okay, then we go to group number 5 with question number 4.
Hello. We have the question. We have 38 starters and 12 to place. And on the 12th place, there are equal faults and time. So 38 riders, we have no 13th to place. So we decided we have the 12th prize and divide it to 75 euros for each rider.
Any comments about that?
The 150 euro for the 12th place we divide, and
also
the 12th
for the 13th.
for the 13th, yes.
Which is equal 12.
Equal 12.
So we have 2 equal 12, and they both get 75.
Both get 75.
So this is completely different from the situation where you have more than 48 starters and then you have complementary prizes.
Yes.
And in that case, the prize of number 12 and 13 can be added and divided by 2. So that's the only difference.
All happy with that? Wonderful. So that was a short one. So we go to group number 6, if I'm not completely wrong, with question number 5.
Okay, the quick. Oh.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay, the quick answer is we do nothing, because he heard his name when he came in and the name of the horse. He came in second, he heard the name of the horse, he heard his name. He's more than 30 minutes after the prize-giving ceremony. We can't change anything. Okay, we had a long discussion about playing Sherlock Holmes, trying to think why he could ask that. It might be that the owner is different, or he wants more points for the B horse or whatever, but he's too late.
Any comments on that? It's indeed a funny situation, because it's the rider himself who comes the next day to say, I've ridden another horse.
And he was not last or
No, it was placed
25th, he
second,
was
so,
second,
so there
so-
was some money
yes.
involved, and definitely you couldn't change anything. So the message is clear: you can't change anything after the time limit of 30 minutes after
Yes.
the announcement of the results.
Yes. And there was one more comment that if the judge knows the rider, he will get hell.
And don't forget that in the jury, one of the 3 judges is responsible for checking the horse and the riders. So, of course, if you are 2 grey horses, it may be difficult to make a difference, but anyway.
But with the chips, yes, because I had cases where somebody had 2 horses with exactly the same name. One was listed brown, the other was listed grey, but they were both brown.
Okay.
Good. Then we move on.
Just one short question. Anastasio Mosso from Panama. What is actually the right way to proceed for this question for case 5?
Yeah, the only way to say is, sorry, we can't change it because, like it or not, this is an appeal against the result. And there is a time frame, and that's done. So you simply can't do this. I would like to add one thing, just food for thought and not up for discussion. So we all agree that we do not change anything because the time is done. Yeah. What we know now is that rider, because the rider is accusing himself that he did not compete with this horse. So should we think about taking him out completely? Because he's telling us that he never competed with this horse. So if we take that as a fact, then he should be taken out. We are not doing that, but just think about it. You know what I mean? Yeah, as I say, he most likely can't prove that he competed with another horse, but he tells you, I did not compete with this horse, the result is wrong.
Okay.
But for consistency reasons, if we say we can't change it because it's too late, then it's also too late to take him out.
Yeah.
But just think about it.
Yeah, because one of the members said disqualify him immediately. But it's not done.
No, and I guess we wouldn't do that.
I have a question regarding the show management itself altering the award money or whatever. Is that?
I'm very happy that you asked that question, and I want to give a very general answer. And I know that I won't be the flavor of the month in some regions of this beautiful blue planet. It is the FEI's opinion that it's the judge's responsibility to take care of right results and the distribution of the prize money. I know that there are regions where organizing committees would kill you if you would even take a look at the distribution of the prize money. And they would even kill you and whatever they would do with you if you would then check it later on if they have changed some things. I live in reality. I'm not living on a different planet. So I know that this is somehow difficult. However, it has to be absolutely clear, you are responsible for the final result, you sign off the final result, including the distribution of the prize money, and that should be then the final result. You might not be able to stop somebody to change it later on, but I would call that cheating then, simple as that, to make it absolutely clear. If somebody is changing the final result which has been signed off by you, then this is changing final results. And what else can you call that than cheating? So I would really like to convince you all, wherever you are coming from, that you are not only judging the competition and when the last horse is finished, you have a first look at the results. No, please really check the whole result, check the distribution of the prize money, and then just to make sure, at least to have a certain security that nothing will be changed, sign off the results. And then we are in the hands of whoever is dealing with that later on. Well, if you should find out later on that somebody, whoever this is, has changed your result, then you have to report that to FEI, yeah. Absolutely, yes.
Marek Zaleski. Stefan, but this is simple, easy to find this solution. If you collect, when you signed the results, and you have 15 classes, you for sure not remember how it was, but if you collect as the president of the grand jury one copy, and you keep it with you, then you can easily find in the internet or where, what's happened. And then you can prove that you have the real copy, which was done immediately, and then nobody is cheating with you.
Okay, let me make one remark. I guess it is an absolute exception that somebody is changing results after you signed them off. So you might be concerned because you are at a show where you are a little bit concerned about the organizing committee. In this case, I would do this. But it's not the normal procedure that organizing committees are changing results after you signed them off. This is an absolute exception. Maybe we can agree on that. But if you are concerned, then why not take a look at that? Okay, good. Having said that, we move on with case number, where are we? 6, I guess, and group number 7.
Dear colleagues, first I have 2 preambles to ask. Do you ever have happened the experience that would happen a broken noseband during the round? I've never seen that. Good. Second is, would have the rider ask for more time if that would happen in the first round? So I think, or we talked together, he has no much longer time. He can find a reserve noseband, for instance, of another rider, and the groom can go and fetch one in the stable, but not much longer time as it could be in some minutes done.
Any comments?
Over there.
Hello, Anastasio Mosso from Panama. I have a question regarding a similar case. What happens if this happens before the jump starts, the jump off begins? Would that be comparable to the horse losing the shoe, as Article 245 says?
Okay, let's put it that way. I'm trying to say something without answering the question. The purpose of that question was indeed to find out whether this is the same situation as a horse with a lost shoe. Are we all in agreement what we would do with a horse with a lost shoe? In a jump-off, there is a very, very clear rule about that, and this is that you give the horse 3 starting positions later, and with the purpose that they might fix the shoe, and if they haven't fixed the shoe, then it's up to you to decide to give him even a later starting position. And at a certain point, if they're running out of starters, you have to say, you come in now on 3 shoes, or you do not start. That's your decision then. That's the clear thing with the lost shoe. So the question is now, is that situation with a broken noseband comparable to the lost shoe thing? Would you say this is the same, or is that something different? And if you say it's the same, then please, you might say it is because of this. And if you say, no, it's not the same, then try to convince us with a good reason. And
I personally would say that it's not the same. Is it a safety issue if you take the noseband off and ride without it? As far as I know, I don't think so. If it were a rein, yes, I would take that. But a noseband, I don't think that there's no safety issue there. There's no problem. I mean, if they can go and get it replaced within as quickly as possible, but I don't think that.
Would you force a rider to come in and jump if he thinks it's a safety issue?
Of course it's a safety issue. If you're changing the tack on a horse and you're going to insist that that rider comes in without a particular piece of tack that it has broken, to me it's similar to losing a shoe.
Sorry, we had the case, but it was not a time issue. We had a bit that broke, a plastic bit. So what would we do if it was a bit?
Any more comments? Radovan.
Radovan. I will ask two other riders if they totally aware about situation and they agree to start in jump off and give a time to change the noseband. If one of the last or before last riders say no, we have to wait. And I will give chance, due to security reason, change the noseband.
Okay, let me make two comments on that, and maybe my two partners in crime will kill me because I'm just about to change my opinion a little bit to what we discussed before. So if they kill me, it was very nice to meet you all, and I wish you a wonderful day tomorrow. The first sentence, Radovan, I somewhat disagree that we ask other people because we have to make the decisions, and it's not democracy that we ask people if they agree or not. We make decisions according to existing rules or to common sense, and it's not up to us to ask anybody, because how far do you want to go if you want to have riders in agreement to what you are doing? We can't vote on judges' decisions. We make a decision and then they can appeal against that if they are not happy. That's the normal procedure. So I would not really agree on that. The first solution we found was that we said if it is comparable to a lost shoe, then we would allow this. And this would be limited to cases where this is a horse welfare issue, maybe, or this is a security or a safety issue. And I was very happy with this solution. On the other hand, I'm just thinking about why did we limit that on a lost shoe? If we would have liked that, we could have put that in the rule and saying, in any case of a safety issue or horse welfare, then you can give him 3 positions later. But for what reason ever, the FEI in its wisdom has decided to limit that on a lost shoe. So yeah, it is what it is. So of course now you can say this is where common sense comes in, but the more I deal with shows where you have prize money about some million, I learn more and more that you can forget common sense because there is not even such a thing. So we are maybe a little bit on thin ice if we allow that. And maybe this is something where we should have a look at, because I would very much support the idea to go with the common sense thing and say if this is comparable to a lost shoe, then we should allow that. But how far do you go? We can't even agree in this room if a broken noseband is a safety issue or not. Some people say you can easily compete without a noseband. Other people say you can't control the horse anymore. So that depends case to case. So do you really want to make a case-to-case decision? Pretty difficult. So we had discussions about that earlier. What do you do? There is a problem with the boot and you can't use the boot anymore. Is that then horse welfare if he competes without one boot? That's all very difficult. So I have a certain feeling being a little bit responsible for the right solutions. There is not really a clear solution for that, and I take that on board that we take a look at that in the committee if we have to change that a little bit, because I don't think that common sense will really lead us to a good point.
Just a short question regarding the spirit of the rules.
Yeah.
Why is it restricted to something happening before the beginning of the round or the jump off? Because it says here, in a jump off that loses a shoe prior to starting.
Yeah, prior to the start of that horse.
Of that horse,
Yeah,
not
yeah.
of the jump off.
No. Good that you asked that. It is the starting of that horse. It happens before the start of that horse, not because, not before the start of the jump off. Yeah. Ralf.
And in the meantime, the other riders may jump. Between a lost shoe and a broken tack is the responsibility of the rider. The rider is responsibility for his tack, and everything is proper condition. The lost shoe, shit happens.
Yeah.
But we should
point.
know what is the common sense, how long to wait.
Yeah.
That is the only common sense, how long to wait.
Yeah. Yeah. I guess I would agree to this because you do not have any influence on a lost shoe. Of course, you can say, okay, you can take your horse to the farrier early enough and get that checked. But we all know with different footing conditions, it can happen that you lose a shoe. Simple as that. The horse has just left the farrier and everything is 100% okay, and 5 meters later you lost a shoe. This can happen. But a broken noseband, problems with the stirrup, with the whatever, boots, bandages, this is something you are responsible for. And then you have to see how to help yourself. So I have a certain feeling, the more we discuss that, the more I'm convinced that we should not allow that. But I guess we should take that on board and we should take a look at that if we think, we as the jumping committee, whether we think that it should be extended to other things. But before we did that, most likely we should keep it as it is. As I say, you always
One comment.
Yeah.
I think that when it's in the rules something today,
yeah,
we can discuss something on the future, and I fully agree with you. But today in the rules, it's only that you can make a break with the shoes.
That's what I just said.
If we start to discuss how to go around the rules, then we kill ourselves.
That's what I just said, or at least what I try to say. I get more and more sympathy that we should take a look at that, but for the moment it is limited to the lost shoe. And most likely there is exactly that reason for that. And if we should come to the conclusion that we extend that for next year, and then we have a different rule. Yeah? Good. Case number 7 and group number 8. Would you be in agreement with that?
Hello, my name is Bilyon Biber from Istanbul, Turkey. In our case, we have an official video to watch, and we decided to watch the video. And if the horse did not have any faults, did not touch the fence. Sorry. Seven. Okay. In our case, there's an official video to watch. If the horse did not touch the fence on the video, if it's clearly seen, then we can take out the 4 faults. But if it's not, we are not sure if it's not easily to see from the official video, then we keep the results as it is.
Any comments from the floor? Are we all happy? That's good, because we are happy as well. Just to make that clear, the normal thing is a horse is jumping a fence, the pole goes down, and most likely this is the influence of the horse which has touched the pole. Good. So your first decision will always be this is for penalties. Then if the course designer comes and said, that, oh, most likely this was a rotten pole and maybe there was something, then of course if you have an official video, you should take a look at the video. And exactly as that group has just described, if the video then 100% shows, the official video 100% shows that your decision is wrong, because you can see clearly on the video the horse is jumping half a meter higher and the pole goes down for what reason ever, and you are absolutely sure that this was not caused by the horse and or the rider, then you can change your decision. And most likely in this case, it was like this, but not necessarily. We also have cases that a horse is touching the pole and that rotten pole breaks because the horse has touched it. So that really depends, but for this you need to have an official video and you have to go with a real procedure of the video evidence. Are we happy with that? Okay, yeah. Oh, wait till the microphone is there, and we start there with the microphone, and then we continue there.
Andres Abrodin from Estonia, but if it is happened in first phase.
Yeah. Yeah. Once again, you make your first decision, and that decision stands. So if you, in theory, if you should have that in the first phase, you give him 4 penalties, you ring the bell, and he has to stop. Good. Then you see the video later on, and you find out that you made a wrong decision. Then you need an exceptional solution, and then you have to bring the horse in again to jump the second phase. There's nothing else you can do. Replacing the pole would be something I would take into consideration. Yeah, I agree.
So when we walk the course, when we inspect the fences, we must look at the fences who are cracked or look rotten, and then we can already have a preventive decision and change the poles. But I think the jury is not responsible for the quality of the material. We are responsible for the sportsmanship, the quality of inviting obstacle, but not of the quality of the material.
Though it wouldn't hurt if we would have a look at the material, especially on the top poles. But of course, as we know, a top pole can change during a competition, and suddenly another one is the top pole, which should not happen, but it happens from time to time. Yeah. Any more? Yeah, there was sorry. Yeah.
I just have to ask one question. Considering there was the length of time, considering there was that length of time before when the rail did come down and the horse jumped the fence, could you not jump the horse off if it was an immediate jump off? If you can't hold up the class to go get the video equipment, bring video equipment, hold up all the other horses?
But the point is that you see that the pole is going down when the horse is jumping. And the normal reflex is you give him 4 penalties. And then you get the next horse in the case of an immediate jump off, and you start the next horse in. In the meantime, the course designer comes up and he comes with a piece of the pole and he shows you. So it's not that you get that immediate. If you really would get, for what reason ever, there were 3 people jumping up and down and waving at you, then you would delay that for a second and maybe just try to get that information in.
But doesn't
usually, Sorry,
doesn't it say here that he jumps fence 10 and then the back pole of fence 5 falls off the ground? That's a long time.
Okay, but he was still in the course.
If you would have the time, or if you get the information in immediately, in an immediate jump off competition, for example, you get the information early enough, then you would just wait and would just say, we have to double check the result, and maybe you just wait, but that all depends on the situation. Good. We are with group number 9 and question number 7, if I'm... No, sorry?
9 is question 9, I think.
Question number 9, question number 9 and group number 9, if we agree on that. Good. Thank God. So what is that case now?
Said that the speaker was...
Radovan, group number 9. We will do nothing, not appealable. Results stay. We cannot do anything with that. It was outside of the arena.
And what do you do if the writer comes up to the jury box and complains about the decision?
He can place whatever he likes, and we say no.
Okay, so that's the final decision. Would it not be wise that the speaker just at least apologizes for what happened and have a little talk with the writer and say, okay, that was my fault. Can we have a drink later in the evening and just discuss it? What do you think about that?
In consideration that we are athletes and sportsmen, we will not offer any drink.
After the competition, when we have finished officiating.
Is there anybody who would change the result? Are we all in agreement that it stays as it is, or is there anybody who say, whoa, better not be anybody against, let's say? Radovan, obviously you were very convincing because nobody is disagreeing. Okay, we all agree that this should not happen. It's bad luck, tough luck, whatever you call that. It shouldn't happen, but it will happen again and again. We can't control this. And, well, how can you prove that it wouldn't happen without the speaker starting the noise or whatever. Yeah. So there is always some disadvantage with some outside noises or light or whatever. So, but in this specific case, there's not so much we can do. Good, fine. Fine. Oh, now there is the moment we all are waiting for, which is group number 1. And first of all, case number 10. Joao.
He's suicidal. Francis, next slide.
Okay, I'm João Moura from Portugal. Question number
10.
Number 10. We discussed a lot, but finally I think I can resume the result. The first question, you agree with this solution? No.
What solution?
It's the 1, 2, 3, 4th paragraph. Do you want that I read all the question?
No. Just give us a solution.
Question number 10.
Is number 10?
Yeah. Lights out.
Do you want that I...
No, please do not read, just give us the solution.
Okay. Then, you agreed with this solution? No, because you can change the course after start the competition. Never. Only if the ground is not okay and you can do small movements. And we don't understand why the discussion start between the course designer and the president of the ground jury.
Okay. If I understand the question right, then you have a situation that you have a double combination somewhere.
Yeah.
And suddenly there's a problem with the light.
Yeah.
And you are right in the middle of the competition, and now the light is different after some horses have jumped.
Yeah.
And now there is a situation that there is a problem with the light. So the course designer obviously comes with an idea to change the distance or whatever to make the combination easier, and obviously you are not happy with that.
Yes, I'm not happy because why you changed the course after?
Yeah, okay, but we all agree that if the light is not good enough anymore in that corner, now we have to make a decision. So I don't think that we can continue with the competition. The course designer says, I'm going to change the combination, and obviously you are not happy with that. But we have to find a solution for this situation now. So how can we continue? Is there anything we can do?
No, the first rider retired after crash the first element of the double combination.
Yeah, and that was.
But I think you have not time for start and to assign it. They have not conditions. The conditions are changed when the lights changed. But after that, he refused the second element, and he go out. He leaves then for him, I accept if you have no time for stop before the double combination, you have no time, and is the similar case when you finish in the two phases competition, you finish the first phase, and you have no time, and you agree that he can jump the second one. Is the first of the second. This is the case. You have no time for stop.
After the first rider or after the 6 riders?
Okay, just that we all discuss the same thing. Obviously, there is a competition going on, and I'm not even reading this. A certain number of riders have competed under normal conditions, and they have a result. Yeah?
No, well, there are two parts. If it's the first rider or if it's the rider after 6 riders. So the first rider crashes and he retires.
We talk about the first.
And then what do we decide?
Yeah. So we the first rider, when the first rider is jumping, the lights are out or whatsoever. So, and what do we do then? In this specific case, what do we do then? This rider then retires. So, what do we do with this rider?
He took the decision, go out for him, in my opinion. Everything it was okay, because if something it was wrong, after the jump, the first, included the double combination, he can do a signal. I jumped, but I have now the same conditions. But he decide go out and leave the ground.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. What I would do, but I'm a steward, I'm not a judge, but I would agree with the course designer to change it accordingly what they discussed about. And I'm Anita from the Netherlands. And I would say the first competitor start at fence number 5 because there's a certain distance. Don't count number 5 and start the time at the combination. That's what I would suggest.
But in that situation, he must to do a signal, and did any signal for him. It was everything okay, and he leaves the ground.
No, because the light went out.
Yes, but for him it was okay.
Riding in that direction, so.
So actually,
no,
there are
he was
two.
not eliminated. Yeah, okay, but it's a discussion, so it's just an idea.
There are 2 parts in the question.
Yes.
The first part is after the first rider comes in and he crashes at fence number 6 or 5 because of the light goes off. That rider retires, so he is retired, and you can't change that result. Now, what you do for the next riders, because you know that the light will not come back again. So that is one part of the question. The other part of the question is after 6 riders. So the first 6 riders have a ranking on normal spotlights, and then you have to do something for the rest of the riders to make the competition work. And what would be the possibility? What is the only possibility you can have?
Okay, let's start with the second version first. We have a certain group of riders which has competed already, and they have finished the course under these conditions. So now we have a problem. The next rider comes in, and then he has that refusal, and the lights are off, and all these things. And then this rider retires. So now we have, let's say, 10 results under normal conditions. Rider 11 has retired after this all happened, and there are till 20 to go.
Is the first rider. Is the first rider.
We start for the sake of the argumentation. We start now with the second part. We have some horses which have started already.
Okay.
Okay. So let's say, forget all these numbers. We discuss it a little bit more abstract. 10 riders have competed under normal conditions. Yeah? Rider 11 is now competing, and while he is competing, there is a problem with the light. The horse refuses, and there is something, and this rider retires. And now there are 20 riders left. Yeah, that's the scenario now. Slightly variated, but it's the second part. Instead of 6 riders, I say 10 riders have competed. So 10 riders have competed under normal conditions. So they have a result. So now we have the incident of the rider who retires. So I guess that's his decision, and he has retired. So, and now there are 20 riders left. So what do we do with these 20 riders now?
If we have to change a fence because there are some difficulties with the ground or something, you take off all the results of all the riders in that fence, and you change the fence and take off the results in that fence for all the riders.
So, even if this is a little bit unusual, because usually we take this for a water jump because the footing is not good, but at the end of the day we could take that rule, because we could say you can't jump that fence anymore, because if there are no lights or the lights are not good enough, we can't tell the next 20 riders you have to jump in the dark. To change the combination, what the course designer suggests, is definitely not a solution, because then in one competition you would jump different things. So I'm very happy if we go with this rule, and then we have to find a pragmatic way to make that combination a compulsory turning point or whatever, that the track is more or less long as the original one, and then we have to go exactly with that procedure. We take out all of the penalties from the 10 riders who jumped already there. Elimination and retirement and all these things would stand. So this is not the...
Not usual.
The first 10 was clear.
Yeah, for God's sake, they were clear. Yeah. So what? They are still clear.
And they still jump the combination.
Yeah.
They still jump the combination.
Yeah.
And then we decide to take out the
Yeah.
combination out and put some stick dirt that they go around.
Yeah.
There is 2 jumps left.
Yeah, I totally agree. If you have to take out a water jump because the footing is bad, the situation is exactly the same. Is that a fair solution? Most likely not, but it's the only solution we can take to keep the competition going. Simple as that. And this is in the rule book, by the way. We might not like it, but this is something which we have in the rule book. We are just taking a rule which is existing.
Okay, if Marek wants to make them jump these 2 jumps, they can be moved. It's also something that is.
We might.
But we have to change. But we will have to change the time.
Good point. We might take into consideration that we move them slightly as long as this does not have an influence on the time, because this is also what we could do if the footing becomes bad. There is a rule that we can change the position of fences slightly. If this would be an option, I would agree to this. But if in the whole area there is no light, I guess to move that by 2 meters to the left will not solve the problem. So let's say, for the sake of the argumentation, we can't move these fences. Then the only thing we can do is we have to take out the combination. Is that fair? No. These other horses, they have to jump 2 fences less. Yeah. But this is one of the rules we have to live with if we want to keep the sport going, because otherwise we simply can't do it. It can happen that there is an issue with light, with footing, with water. We have that rule. And we should use this rule in this case. This is not the best solution ever, but what do you want to do? You want to stop the competition and say only the 10 results count and the other ones they can't jump? Do you want to have a second competition? And let's say this is a Grand Prix. And
I have a question.
yeah.
Okay, we have the Grand Prix. We are in Valence, and the Grand Prix is going at 10 evening. The 10 riders jumps, and we have 20 riders waiting, and the lights are out.
Completely out.
Oh, half of them. That's when they change the condition of the visual, everything.
Yeah.
And the technical people say there is no chance to repair it.
Yeah.
And then you have no chance to move this Grand Prix to the next day because the full program is set and the horses can jump 2 times.
Right.
What you are doing?
If this is the case and it is a safety issue, then you simply have to cancel the rest of the competition. So, and
what is with the price?
Yeah, I'm just giving you the answer, and you will not be satisfied with the answer. But we have it just on the agenda of the FAI board to discuss cases, what we do with prize money, to have a rule, because we found out that in none of the disciplines we have a clear rule what we do with prize money.
Yes.
And the FAI board at the moment is working on a solution. Don't ask me what the final solution will be, but we are really working on that, because let's be honest, with the climate change and all these things which are happening with unexpected weather changes, and there is a thunderstorm and there is heavy wind and so on, it happens more and more that we have to cancel competitions. And you can be happy if this is a minor competition and you find a nice sponsor who says, oh, come on, spend all the prize money. But what if it happens after the Grand Prix, you had 3 horses and then you have to cancel?
Yeah.
Or as you just said, it is a floodlight class and it's Saturday evening. Do you really think on Sunday night you can have another competition? It will not work. But there is no existing rule at the moment. So at the moment, you really have to see what you do and come with a good proposal. Find a solution and try to make everybody happy. There is nothing in the rules. I can't give you an answer.
It is nothing in the rules. We was discussing with Sven and with our French colleagues what to do. Yeah. And one solution which we find, that maybe the 10th riders was finished, the others can compete. Yeah. And if there's really such a situation, we need to divide all the money for all the starting people just equal.
Stefan, we did
For all
this
the
problem.
started people or for all the people who would have started?
Would on the start list, because the other have no chance. And this first was competing and also have no chance to be the first or be the last. That was the most realistic, to spend the money but not to punish anybody.
Yeah, okay. I'm playing devil's advocate now. I have a certain sympathy for that solution. As long as we do not have a rule, at least this is a solution. But if I would have been among the 10 riders who started and I had a clear round and all the other ones would have had 4 penalties, I do not see the point that I'm getting the same prize money than all the other ones who were worse than me in the competition as such. It's a very difficult one. We had a case once years ago with a dead horse in an arena at a certain show. And we expected that we would interrupt the competition and that we would continue then after a while. And we had to learn that suddenly somebody made the decision to cancel everything. And it took 1 minute that the first rider came up and said, what do you do with the prize money? And they wouldn't be satisfied if we would say, okay, you had a clear round and somebody who did not even jump 1 fence gets the same prize money than you do. You have to be prepared that people will not like that. And for that reason, I'm absolutely convinced that we need a rule about that. And thank God I'm not the only one in the FEI board. So we are working on it. And I hope that next year when we discuss the same case again, there will be a proper rule what we would do. But honestly speaking, we get a little bit distracted from the case as such. It's very good that we have these discussions because this is the forum where we can discuss all these things. Jerry.
But the more important, the organizing committee don't keep the money. Must have one solution, but never stay with this money of the Grand Prix.
I'm not 100% sure whether I got that point. Yeah, there is one misunderstanding, just to clarify that already, because even if we do not have the rule what we do in case of a cancellation, there is a little bit of misunderstanding that we say we have to spend all the prize money which is mentioned in the schedule. Yes, as long as the competition takes place. So if you cancel a competition before it even has been started, it's not covered anywhere that you have to spend that prize money. Yes. The problem comes up if you start a competition and then after a certain number of riders you have to stop the competition and you can't continue. Then the question comes up, what do we do with the prize money? And I'm very happy that we have this discussion here, and to a certain reason that's a little bit the idea of that question. Would you all be in agreement that we need a rule what we do in case of a cancellation? Because I would be very happy to get the support of 150 officials who say, please FEI, take a look at that. There is a need for this. Are we all in agreement with this?
Okay.
Good.
Thank you.
Good. So, cutting a long story short, and then we move on with the next question because the expert is leaving already there. So in the case that a lot of riders have competed already and there is no other solution and we have to continue or whatsoever and it's not a safety issue, then we might take into consideration to go with the existing rule to take out that fence. With a clear procedure to cancel all the penalties there, eliminations and all these things would stand. So that's the one thing. It gets a little bit more complicated if this was the first rider and then this rider retires, because then you have to be consistent. The one option is you can say, we count the result of that rider, and then it's still one competition, and then you have to go with the solution we have just used. Or you say, okay, that was the first rider, we cancel that competition, and we start a new one. But if you then start a new one, then also that one rider can compete in this. So then you cancel that result. He doesn't get anything because he has retired, so he wouldn't get any prize money anyway. And then after the first horse you say, okay, we simply can't go on, and we cancel this competition number 17, and we introduce a new competition 17A or 17B or whatever you call that. Under the same conditions, we start in half an hour, the course designer is changing the course, and you build a course that everybody can jump. But then this first horse can also start again. if you would decide this result stands, the competition has started, yeah, then you have to go through this other scenario. Are we in agreement with that? Good. Thank God. For time reasons, we cancel stewarding question number 1 and we continue with group number 10 and case number 11. Sorry for that. I guess.
Do you want to just go to the next slide?
Yeah.
I'm Chris Nesting from South Africa, and our group was unanimous in the decision that we came to. But what's quite important is that up there, we have the additional words that say diagram to be added for flags. So I think that's quite important, is that the alternate fences we took as each one was flagged separately. So you had to jump one or the other, and it wasn't flagged as one fence. So the fact that you jumped the left-hand fence and cleared it, we took that as a clear. The fact that the right-hand side, which was a separate alternate fence, the fact that that fell should not incur a penalty. Agreed? Thank you.
Was the answer right, or did I miss something? Was that the right?
The flagging.
We took it.
The flagging is.
We took it as the next one.
So if the flags are like that,
yes.
So you jump the left side, and for what reason ever the right pole goes down, it's not penalties at all. So if you take the flags out, and this happens,
that's one fence. Yeah.
Yeah.
They run out after jump the first. It's not run out with the water. If you don't have the four plants.
I see your point. I'm not 100% sure whether we can
exactly the same,
compare
but if
these
you
situations.
don't put the four flags by mistake and the horse run on the side, it's not run out because it's between the flags. There are not the four to go straight.
Yeah. Talking about this situation here, for this situation, it's absolutely clear. You jump the left part and the right pole goes down. It's not a penalty. Can we just click backwards? So if it is like this, and most likely you will not have that option, just imagine you have a 1.60 m fence and the poles are all as high as that middle thing there. Yeah, because that's then more like it is in the real world. If you then jump the left part and the right pole goes down, it is for penalties.
Yes.
We are all in agreement with that? Yes. Good. That's something. We come to question number 12 and group 11, and it's only 3 groups to go, if I'm not completely wrong.
Okay, I'm Caroline. I'm representing Greece. I don't think this will be very long. We have a vertical fence over the water, the takeoff element.
Yeah.
We know that knocking down the takeoff element doesn't count as a penalty. The rider cleared the fence, and then afterward the top pole fell down because it was hit by the one coming up behind. And we all agreed that the rider had no faults at that fence because the rider cleared the fence.
Does anyone agree with that version? Okay, tell me why.
It doesn't matter if he doesn't touch the pole, but he touched the fence, the takeoff, and the pole knocks down the vertical. So for me, it's a fault.
The takeoff element does not count
it's a
as
Liverpool.
fault
It's a Liverpool.
if you hit it.
I think it's a fault for me, my opinion.
It's Article 211, paragraph 10. Doesn't count if you hit the takeoff element and knock it down.
No, definitely it's a spread obstacle, but it is judged as a vertical. So the front part doesn't count, and the plasticine at the back also doesn't count if there is a fold. So if you knock down the front pole, and if that pole is going somewhere, it cannot count because it's, for me, it's a virtual.
It's a vertical fence.
Yeah, for sure, for sure.
Okay.
So don't forget that a pole is considered knocked down when it is the result of a fault of the horse or the rider. And in this case, the rider and the horse obviously jumped 20 centimeters over the pole. So I think you cannot consider it as a fault.
The point is,
it's the same thing if the wind interferes.
Yeah. First of all, I guess we all agree that the take-off element is not faultable. Yeah. So we talk about a vertical. We judge it as a vertical. It is a spread fence, but we judge it as vertical, and the take-off element is not faultable. So and that makes a difference to spread obstacles like oxers or whatsoever. So if this pole is really knocking down that top pole of that vertical, do you really want to count that? If you see on the video the horse is jumping half a meter higher. We had that interesting case, you might remember that, some of you might remember that we had that one video case where a horse was jumping and losing a shoe, and the shoe was knocking down the top pole. It is not exactly the same, but it's a little similar. So it would give me some stomach problems if I would give 4 penalties for that.
No fault for us either.
If it's absolutely clear that the horse didn't touch the top pole, of course. Good. We have question number 12 and 13, sorry. Question 13 and group 12. And that's definitely yours.
Jane Twemlow, GBR. The consensus of Group 12 to Case 13 is that we are happy with the extra fence 15 being added, but not with changing the triple bar to an oxer. 1, as it is not a single fence, and 2, that the distance in a combination may never be altered in a jump-off.
Do we agree on that?
If you take out the front pole of the triple bar, you wouldn't change the distance. I'm not disagreeing, I'm just picking up the argument.
Francis, show the next slide.
If you take out the front pole of the triple bar, yeah, you don't change the distance, but if you don't change the distance, then you have a safety issue with the combination. So anyhow, the combination should be altered, and it's a new one, and then it's not 2 single fences.
So this is a slide I pinched from Olaf Petersen, and which shows clearly that the takeoff and the landing is different when you jump a triple bar or when you jump an oxer. So the question is, should the course designer change the distance between the 2 elements or not? Yeah, there is a...
I think this also depends on the spread of the oxer. It is all relative to each other. It's not easy to answer the question in theory, because if it is a double rick, the distance in the jump-off might be good enough. It really depends, and it can be the plan of the course designer to alter that way.
Okay. I guess we can agree on the following. From the legal point, you can discuss whether this is possible, because what the course designer is doing, he is changing a spread obstacle to another spread obstacle, so he's not changing that. According to the rule book, a triple bar is in the same category as an oxer. It's a spread obstacle. So the course designer could tell you, yeah, I'm just making a new obstacle with the existing material, and that does not mean that I have a new fence. It's not changing an oxer to a vertical that would get a new number, and that wouldn't work because we would change the combination. So the course designer might try to convince you that this is allowed. And he might not be completely wrong with this. However, and this is the main argument, and this is exactly what the working group said, you are not changing the distance by adding half a meter or whatsoever, but the distance as such is different now for the horses, and the riders do not know what the course designer is going to change. There is no option to change the distance that he says, I'll make it half a meter shorter or longer, because that's not allowed at all. So we have to tell the course designer, you can't do it. If you want to use the combination in the jump-off, then it has to remain triple bar, what is it, vertical, or whatever it was. So you can't change it. In this case, he can't change the triple bar to an oxer. Are we all in agreement with this? Very good to hear that. Comment? Last question, number 14, group 13.
Chris Jopling, Great Britain. First time attendee, probably last because next time I won't have a valid EU passport. We had a difference of opinion in the team. However, we were unanimous in that we were a conscientious Crown jury, would have spotted the error with the prize money way in advance, would have contacted the organising committee and would have had it clarified before we got to the event. The dilemma we have is that the way the schedule is written is that the winner is being forced to take the Yamaha, the prize in kind, as part of their cash prizes, with the addition of a small amount of cash. We had a discussion amongst us, we had different opinions. Some of us wanted to say, well, actually the cash prize money that we should be splitting is the £25,000 that is down for 2nd to 12th place, plus the 1,555, that actually makes up the cash pot of 26,555, and that should be split in accordance with the rules and the winner given the Yamaha as well. Others also thought, well, actually we should just give the Yamaha plus the 155 and then split the 25,000 as it says, 2nd to 12th place with the percentages in the rules. But we would have sorted this out way in advance.
Yeah, would you show the next slide with the answer?
Before we show the next slide, let me make one comment. I guess we have to define something. What is prize money and what is the prize in kind? And is it possible to substitute a certain amount of prize money by something which is not money, but whatever? Can you win a car? Can the first prize be a car, valid whatever?
It should be counting to the prize money, but as extra prize.
Oh, okay. Let's do it in a slightly different way. At some shows, you have the prize money, and in addition to that, the winner gets an expensive Longines watch. So, then this is a prize in kind, which is not part of the prize money. Good. But we have schedules where it's written that the prize money is this and that. However, that the first placed rider gets a car, which is valid this and that amount of money, and we always have to specify what car it is, because in the arena there is always the big Mercedes, and then the prize the first rider gets is a Smart or whatever. So, so it has to be specified in the schedule that the car has a certain valid, and you should even say this is a Mercedes, whatever, B class, this and that and that. So, and then the rider would not get prize money, but he would get the car. Do we agree that we have this option? Marek does not agree, but is there anybody who agrees that we have that? Bent? You agree? Oh, at least I'm not the only one.
FBI has accepted that kind of rules. And it is standing the price of kind is all the time additional. Even it should be mentioned exactly what kind of car it is and what kind of value. And the foreign judge must write it. That's the distribution of money was 25,000 for this class plus 9,990 for the winner as the extra prize money. And this is it is extra to the total price of money in this.
If it is a prize in kind, then it's extra. Is Rogier still here? No. Shit. Okay. I just tried to find an organizer who might have had a competition where they had a car as first prize.
We have had in Denmark some shows where they had diamonds.
As a first prize?
Diamonds.
Yeah.
Diamonds for the prize.
Yeah. And this is what we do. So I want to draw your attention to the fact that sometimes you have prizes in kind, and sometimes you have prize money, and the first prize is a car or whatever it is, diamonds. And then instead of getting prize money, the first place rider gets this car, which is worth something. And I guess we should agree on the fact that this Yamaha, whatever this is a substitution for a part of the prize money. So, and based on that, maybe we can calculate now the prize money for the rider, or let's see where this is coming from.
That's the next slide.
And Freddie, maybe you can explain that.
So definitely here we have the total amount, which is, I must stand there, otherwise I can't see it, sorry.
And there was a normal mic somewhere.
So if you have the total prize money is the total prize money is 34,990. That is the figure you introduce in your FEI app to calculate the prices. And then if you calculate the price, then the first rider should have 11,500 euros. And instead he receives a Yamaha. And the Yamaha is only worth 9,990, so that means that the organizer has to supplement 1,500 euro just to reach the level of 11,000. So that is so, as we said, the Yamaha is not a complimentary prize, it is the first prize, and the rider has no other option than to accept that. Because it's written in the schedule. It's as simple as that. Yes?
Well, I have two comments about this. First, this is not stipulated in the rules, and second, who decides the price of the Yamaha? I mean, if we begin thinking like that, then we can say this Yamaha costs 20,000, you know.
Well, that's the catalog price of the Yamaha. You can find it on the website. You go to a Yamaha and you see the cylinders, and you know the value of the Yamaha. So that is accepted. The organizer accepts that first price. Yep.
We have another problem, because in schedule is specified that price 25,000 euro is from second to 12th place.
Yeah.
It is not coding this distribution. We have extra 1,555 euro, and we must distribute this money for me.
Yeah, among second to 12.
The first prize can never be more than 33% of the total value. And in this case, the prize in kind, the Yamaha, is less than 33%. So we take the figure of 30,990 as the basis for the calculation of the money. And then you come out with the result we have here. Otherwise, you can't find any other solution. The situation is completely different if the price in kind is more than 33%.
But we are not going there. Better not.
Stefan, I've just one question. With the prize money, or especially for the in value with the car, is it always including VAT or exclusive VAT? Because it is really different between Spain and Luxembourg and so on. So, because later you have the reduction from the VAT extra.
No idea.
Pass for the moment. We will clarify that, and I will come back with an answer tomorrow. I simply have to say that I can't give an answer now. Does anybody know that?
I think the VAT is for the rider. He has to pay the VAT.
Yeah. So we will come with a solution tomorrow. Mr. Roach will know. No, not on Monday. He will know that tomorrow. There is always one who knows, and in this case it's him. Good. Are there any further questions concerning these questions? Good. Then, on behalf of Mr. Doney, who was in charge of this interesting unit, I want to thank you that you contributed to finding solutions for this all. The good news is that we are all still alive, so we all have survived. I hope that Mr. Doney is surviving wherever he is. Maybe he is watching on live stream, so just in case he's out in TV land, we should all say hello to John, but I doubt that he will see this in North Korea or wherever he is. Or Mary might, yeah. So, I thank you very much for today. I guess we are all on a learning curve, because at least I can say for the three of us here at the table that we learned a lot, and sometimes you really learn something during discussions, and then there is nothing wrong that we even change our minds if there are reasons for this. So having said that, we now go more or less directly to that reception we have, but I guess I'll leave it now to the IJOC president with some housekeeping and to close the first day of this meeting. So thank you very much for joining us here today.